Folks, check it out. Today we are looking at the Secret slider from WMEDC in full Zirc and full peak. Now this is not how they came to me stock. This purple Zirc middle was in here. The peak middle was in here with the all Zirc body. I swapped the inner plates to have full Zirc, full peak, and let's talk about pros and cons. First off, I'll say from the swap, the full peak was my more preferred slider. Let's give them a listen here first too. This is all dense in all peak. Okay, and then standard and all peak. Okay, now we've got all Zirc. So here is dense in all Zirc. All right, and standard. All right, so why did I like the all peak better? Number one, I'm partial to peak. I think it's great for acoustics. It just really makes certain sounds pop. I didn't care for it so much in the standard, but I really liked it a lot in dense. In dense, it's got a really great haptic feel, but part of the thing about these Secret sliders is that you have to set your standard to a tension that will still give you a satisfying sound when you switch over to the dense track. All right. If you don't do that, you might end up with a situation like this all Zirc has. It's got a great sounding standard, really the standard that I would want it tuned to. But when I switch over to the dense, it's so loose that it will move itself if I just give it a little shake, right? So not a whole lot of feedback there. So it is kind of a tricky tuning exercise for these things, because doing this, you're kind of tuning for two different sliders at once. So you put the balls and springs in there, you're like, oh my gosh, it sounds great in standard, and then you go to dense and it's not right. You might have to up the tension of a spring and get a little poppier sound out of standard, like this. Which sounds poppier than this. If that all makes sense. But it gives the dense version a perfect feel. So, you know, in a way you're like, all right, I'm going to tune this perfectly to standard, and I'll just never switch this to dense, and I'll tune this to dense and never switch it to standard, and it's kind of defeating the purpose of the slider. So the other part of this, though, too, is this is all Zirc, so it is significantly heavier than the all peak, and so some of that sliding that it's doing on its own is just a result of the weight, which is 73.5 grams compared to the peak 17 grams. Pretty crazy difference. So you can see why WMEDC decided to do a peak middle on here. Now, here's where it gets good, because part of my dilemma was I don't really like this tan color with the all Zirc black, right? I want a cooler color, so I switched it out for the purple, but that has caused its own, its own kind of issues. Well, now they've released an all black peak version. So getting that would kind of solve the dilemma, because I could put that all black insert in here, and then I'm going to have a lighter slider, a really good sound, and it's going to look badass because it's going to be blacked out. Or just an all black peak slider, which is going to be really great. And then they also released a PEI version, which is that yellow plastic you see here, and I'll show both the black peak and the PEI. But either way, this is kind of a fun experiment. I don't know that I'll keep them this way, just because of the fact that I notice myself playing with them less, because I'm making those concessions on how it sounds here versus switching over to standard and not really liking it. So I'm really only using this one in standard mode and this one in dense. Kind of defeats the purpose of having two of these. So I will probably swap them back, or sell and try out the newer versions. So there you go, folks. That is the all Zirc and all peak WMEDC secret slider.